Present the Assembly District 25 Community Forum. Before we get started, I want to make sure everyone has these little sheets to fill out a question. We're going to have an opportunity to be able to present some questions from those who are here, gathered here. So I'll make sure I get this to you. Before I do that, I have a note from Margaret Jackson. She says, it is with great regret that I'm unable to attend tonight's Assembly District 25 Community Forum. Candidates Kansen and Bob Brunton, thank you for your commitment to serve our community. I would encourage everyone to get out and vote, as we have been afforded the opportunity and the responsibility to be heard and do our part. And of course, signed, Margaret Jackson, business radio host, AM 1220 KDOW. And with that being said, I'd like to invite Aylia up to the podium, and I'll make sure if you want a question for him that you receive that.
Thank you, Devin. So first of all, I would like to thank both candidates for attending this forum tonight. We appreciate your willingness to run for office. It's a big responsibility, so thank you for that. First off, I would like to ask the audience to please mute their phones and please hold your applause till after the closing statements tonight. So some of the rules of the forum tonight are each candidate will get 2 minutes for the opening and closing statements. And you will have 1.5 minutes to answer the question. We have a timekeeper here, and she'll keep you on schedule. And if there's time allowed, then we can have the audience ask some questions as well. There's some question sheets going around. Feel free to write your questions down. You can do it that way as well. And Devin will assist you with that. So with that, timekeeper, please put 2 minutes on the clock. And candidate Chu, please begin with your opening statement.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank Margaret Jackson for this opportunity, and also Hastest for opening your beautiful home to host this community event. I want to thank all of you to be here. Skipping World Series game 6 to be here listening to a candidate forum. So thank you so much. My name is Kansen. I'm currently served on the San Jose City Council, representing Bay Area and North San Jose, including this area, and El Viso. I've been on the City Council for 7.5 years counting, and before that I was elected to various school districts and served for 6 years. And during that time, I got the opportunity to work for Senator Elaine Alquist, the state senator Elaine Alquist, and also later on become the district director for State Assembly member Rebecca Cohn. So I bring to the table a lot, more than a decade of public service experience. I have some landmark signature ordinances in San Jose, including banning the plastic bag, which is the first one in the large city in California. And also very proud of the North San Jose neighborhood plan, which really have a very detailed level of map plan for the economic development in this heart of Silicon Valley. I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, candidate Chu. Please proceed.
Well, hello. My name is Bob Brunton, and I too am running for State Assembly and to be your representative in Sacramento. And I have roots in this district. I grew up in Chicago, but moved out here and lived out here for 30 years. And I've owned and operated several businesses here in electronics manufacturing and financial services. And I was also elected for 12 years on the Ohlone Community College Board of Trustees in Fremont. So I feel like I'm ready to serve and move to help you even more in this district. Now, why am I running? Well, the key issue is why I'm running is that I have seen this district change a bunch. It's a great place to live, but I believe our state government has been failing us. We've been taxed too much, and we receive too little. Our special interest groups are receiving too many favors and benefits. And like some of you, or maybe, I've been directly negatively affected by our state's poor decisions. I've witnessed the exodus of many of our good manufacturing companies leave. I've seen the overspending and over-intrusive nature of our government. So my goal is to go to Sacramento to fix things, to make our state and district more effective and accountable to you. Now, I will be active and I will advocate for less government, yet better government. For every new law and regulation I propose, I will also propose the reduction of 2 laws and regulations. I will insist on open governing and that our state lives within its means, practices honest accounting, and is truthful and non-biased in exaggeration and explanations to us, the taxpayers. My priorities for this next term are to improve education, grow our economy, and restore accountability in our government. And with that, I'm looking forward to answering your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Brunton. So I'll begin with the first question. Timekeeper, can you please put 1.5 minutes on the clock? Candidate Brunton, I'm going to begin with you. Tell us what skills, experience, and or background best qualifies you to be an Assembly member of District 25.
Thank you. I am ready to serve you. I have had the experience of the 12 years on the Community College Board, gave me a great experience to see how the government works and how our educational systems work, since education makes up 54% of our budget of California. Being a business owner and in electronics manufacturing, the heartbeat of Silicon Valley, I understand firsthand the importance of both keeping up with our stringent environmental laws and employment laws and still running a business. So I, at a first-hand level, understand how the complexities of our state affect our businesses and affect our government. And I'm going there to fix things, make it simpler, and a better place to do business.
Thank you. Candidate Chu, would you like for me to repeat the question?
No problem. Thank you. Thank you very much. I came to this country as an immigrant in '78. After I finished my master's degree, I got hired in by IBM company. Actually, I came in at '76 to the United States, and I've been a resident of San Jose since '78. And I worked at IBM for a good 18 years, and also during that time, my wife, who's also in the audience here, and we started a Chinese restaurant in the old town and country village, now Santana Road border, San Jose and Santa Clara. We had a business for a good 17 years, so I have a lot of high-tech experience as well as a low-tech experience before I switched to being a public servant. I'm very keen to the public service. I will contribute to the effort that I learned as a restaurant owner, and I'm very honored to receive all the council members in the city of Santa Clara and city of Fremont, and a couple of the mayors and the councils from Newark. So I'm really looking forward to serve the community.
Thank you, Candidate Chu. Second question is, I'm going to start with you, Candidate Chu. What do you think are the most important issues facing us, and how would you address those issues?
I think that being on the San Jose City Council member for the last 7.5 years, I see the economics going up and down, and now we're very happy to report that we'll see a little bit recovery. So economic development was the number one for me in the Silicon Valley, and that's why I spent a lot of my time during the council to devise the North San Jose neighborhood plan. Because those companies, before they invest billions of dollars, they want certainty. They wanted to know what the future holds. in the 10 years and the 20 years and as far as the 30 years. So I'm very happy that we finished the North San Jose neighborhood plan. And if you drive on the North First Street between 237 and the airport, you will see a lot of development coming up, including Samsung is moving their headquarters to the North San Jose. So job is really the most important to me. But in order to be able to attract those companies, we'll also have to pay attention to the education to make sure that we locally can bring up the new generation of workers that came to the 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The three key focuses of my campaign and what I plan to do as your assembly person is about improving education, growing our economy, and returning accountability to our government. Let me explain all three briefly. Improving education. We can do it both. We have 54% of our budget is allocated to education, but we're clearly not getting our money's worth. I'm sure later on we can talk about details of how we can improve schools without raising taxes. Growing our economy is different than job creation. Because on one hand, we need to decrease government jobs and we need to increase private sector careers. We need to have more coordination of making life better in this district, and that includes a lot of different things. That's just my focus is on growing the economy, just not on small part-time jobs. And restoring accountability in government is so critical. One of the things I learned on the Ohlone College of Trustees was that the people don't believe the numbers. And if people don't believe exactly what you're telling them, you can't get the results. So one of the first things I'm going to be focusing in on when I get there is to take a look at our books with a new fresh set of eyes and make sure we're getting the truth out to you so that we can make those type of decisions to make this a better place to be.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the next question of you, what are your thoughts on the water bill for California that is in Congress?
You mean the water bill that's on the, not on Congress, you're talking about the water bill that's on our ballot for Proposition 1A?
Yes, well, this is a set of questions I've received, so.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this is a conundrum of what I opened when the statement is our government is failing us. Because on one hand, we are now being asked for a proposition for water. Clearly, we have a water shortage problem. Our government should have been taking care of this before. I mean, this is not a secret that we have, dry seasons. We have not improved our capacity. We have not improved on our conservation. So clearly, we are being forced to support 1A because clearly we have to improve our water. But this is just the beginning. When I go to Sacramento, we're going to talk about water a lot because there's a lot of great things we can do about water. This was a short-term temporary fix, and I have some mixed emotions about it, but we're being forced to because we have to help our water. But this is the example of our government waiting too long and showing lack of courage to take care of it themselves and having to ask the voters to do something they should have been doing all along.
Thank you.
As a city council member, I was representing the San Jose. I also sit on the Santa Clara County Water Commission, so we're very familiar with the water issue and also serving on the board of ABAC, the Association of Bay Area Government, that we discuss this water issue frequently. Since Governor Brown, the senior, in the 60s, there's really not a lot of infrastructure investment in the state of California. So this Measure 1A will not only be able to help us to increase our capacity from the underneath groundwater storage as well as above the ground storage. And we'll also be able to use that money to preserve the delta, because there's a saltwater intrusion in the delta, and we're very concerned about the farmlands in the Central Valley. And as well as we want to make sure that we have the conservation piece of the water bound, and so hopefully that we'll be able to survive or to live with less of the demand on the water.
Thank you. We have a small business question next. If you are elected to office, what will you do to eliminate predatory lending by banks to small business owners? Candidate Chu?
The predatory lending, I'm very, very concerned about that issue. I was working on an ordinance to stop or to limit the proliferation of those predatory lending process in the city of San Jose, because they charge APR over 40% in most of the time. So I have talked to them, you know, and on both sides, either supporting and the opposing side, to make sure that they can provide some financial advice. They put away some money and provide some financial advice to those repeat customers. A good example is that I have a resident that lives in the mobile home park, and she used this predatory lenders almost once every year. I mean, once every month to be able to pay his rent. And what happened is this rent is due, say, on the 1st, but his check, he will not receive her check until the 5th. So by negotiating with the mobile home park owner, just to extend her lease for 5 days and then solve her problem. She never have to pay 40% plus APR.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, entrepreneurship, I'm a strong believer in entrepreneurship, and that's what makes Silicon Valley such a special place. Here's the things we can do. One, the corporate tax. When a new person, and this is something I will advocate for in Sacramento, when a company starts a new business, it's always the hardest year for cash flow issues. I will exempt them for the first year of that $800 they give to the state of California. Small amount of money for California, big amount of money for using for small entrepreneurs. Two, provide some sort of holiday consolidation of their employment taxes, workman's comp taxes. Again, small employers, every time they put in small bills of I saw one guy who was spending more money on tax preparation than on taxes itself. And this is crazy. These are stupid rules that go on in California. And the third thing I'm going to focus in on is I'm going to make California fair. One thing I don't like is I don't like favorites and special deals. You know, when you start a business, you should succeed or fail on your own merits. And I'm going to, you know, and failing is part of life, but I'm going to support the idea that I want you to get on the field in California in a fair, balanced way, knowing the state of California is treating you just like you're the same.
I have a follow-up question to that, candidate Brunton. How do you do that?
How do I do what?
How do you, for example, the first part of your answer was that you will waive the $800 fee. How do you do that?
Well, that's what I can only propose. And I certainly, you asked me what I would do. I believe most of the people in Sacramento want to do the right thing. I want to believe that. If we don't, we're in real trouble. And that's the right thing. Our state has too long been partisan. It's one-sided politically, but I still believe they want to help businesses. And this is an idea, the strength of the idea, I believe, will overcome some of the inertia. If we give up, if we don't present ideas, then we'll never do anything. And one thing I learned on the Ohlone Board of Trustees was, as a minority, and I really was a minority, it was a 6 Democrat, 1 Republican member on this board, that was me. I was able many times to get 4-3 votes, 5-2 votes, by the strength of the argument, strength of the decision making, knowing how to work. And that's what we're going to need in Sacramento, is to make things, I bring that to Sacramento. It's very different, something I can add to this district we don't have now and won't get from someone else.
Thank you. Women must be assured equal pay for equal work, and we need to implement better support systems to help women climb the corporate ladder and establish themselves in STEM fields. We should pursue and promote family-friendly workplaces and employment policies like mandatory paid parental leave, expanded access to childcare, and tax deductions to companies that help families find childcare. What specific steps will you take to implement equal pay and creating opportunities for women to be established within the STEM field without repercussions from their male counterparts that tend to roadblock women's advancement in these areas? Candidate Brunton.
All right. You mean, I think government and businesses should be gender blind, race blind, and the way we pay people should be no different whether you're male or female, or whether the color of your skin, or the religion that you belong to. However, that turn, the government can't force. We just talked, the first question was, what are we going to create small businesses? All I can try to do at that level is pass laws that says we're going to have fair laws and we're going to enforce them. And that's what I'm going to focus in on as assemblyman. We need to treat I grew up with 4 sisters, and my mother was a doctor. I mean, I understand strong-willed, intelligent women, and I love them like the one I'm marrying right here. But the reality is that I want us to be treated fair and square, but my government is going to be blind on it. We're going to treat you the same, period.
Thank you.
I'm a strong advocate for affirmative actions. I think that with affirmative action that really opened the door to many of the a minority, whether it's a gender or color. So I have a record of supporting and advocating for affirmative action, and I will continue doing that. I feel that myself is a beneficiary of the affirmative action. You have an Asian that be able to get elected to the San Jose City Council member as the first Chinese American. I feel that I cannot do it without the help of our forefathers, many community leaders, and to make sure that the women or the disadvantaged or underrepresented group also have a very strong good opportunity in the corporate world. I would like to make sure that we have pushed for some more STEAM, that stands for science, technology, engineering, and math curriculums at a lower grade, so we can educate the students at a young age and then better prepare them for the workforce.
Thank you. Do you have a plan to attract manufacturing companies to California and specifically to District 17? If so, what is that plan? Candidate Chu.
25.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
District 25, excuse me.
But like I say, before those people, they invest billions and billions of dollars, they wanted to know what the future holds for them. So we definitely need a very, very, very clean and very thoughtful plan in terms of the land use, in terms of the city development. They know, in 30 years, how many residential units will be built, how many industrial space is available for their expansion, or for other their satellite manufacturer be able to come into this area. So that's very important. And secondly, we need to make sure that we maintain or improve the quality of life for all residents, and because they will choose, usually the business will follow the people. If we cannot make our neighborhood or our area a safe and high quality area for people to live, then you can build a beautiful plant, but then it will probably be open because you will not be able to attract the people. And then again, education, I have to repeat that again, to be able to prepare that we have a strong workforce. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now running for City Council, what we're doing here in State Assembly is what can we do for California to bring in the jobs here? And one of the jobs that I believe as a senator in the 25th is that of kind of as a peacemaker too. This district includes 2 counties, 5 cities. We need to coordinate some of our efforts better. We can no longer think parochially, like what's in it for San Jose. We have to think about what's in for the whole area and region. And it's the combination. I want people to come here by the combination of available schools, good infrastructure and transportation, but in tax laws that are fair and balanced. What I can't do is I can't decide which companies come here, because I believe that the state of California and this district should be the referee, but not the judge. And so what I'm going to be focusing in on is, the first things I'm going to be focusing in on is looking at our tax code and our environmental code and what's out of date and what is cumbersome, and change them, get rid of them. Start talking to my local employers and say, why are you thinking about leaving? And what they tell me, I'm going to make sure we try to fix, so that, because chances are they can stay, and then those type of things will encourage them to bring other people here. I'm going to be reaching out to people like lighthouses and so forth. Tell me what our problems are, we'll fix them. Okay.
Thank you. Small Bay Area manufacturing tech companies would like to expand quicker. However, they are frustrated with the bureaucracy of the system and do not feel as if there are enough tax incentives for them to expand comfortably. As a result, they stagnate rather than scale. What will you do to eliminate the bureaucracy of the system and improve tax incentives for them to hire more people and scale their business? Candidate Brunton.
Well, you can start by electing me, because, really, look, if this problem exists, we've had one-party rule in California. So the only way they were going to make some changes, if they wanted to fix it, they could have fixed it already, but they have not. So secondly, we can start working on, I said to you that I want to not only reduce 2 laws for every one we have. One of the things I did on the Ohlone Board of Trustees, one of the first things we did was over the 4-year period of time, we reviewed every single policy, cumbersome. And I would submit we do that over an 8-year cycle in the state of California to find out how many are out of date, how much are duplicative, how expensive they are. I mean, it's taken us a long time to get into these messes, so I can't fix them in 2 years, but I can tell you this, in 2 years from now, you can say, hey, Bob Brunton, you really have dug into some of these issues and tried to reduce some of these regulations, these onerous things, and you had the courage to do it. Because believe me, there's going to be a lot of yelling and screaming by the special interests that don't want this to happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I disagree with Bob. I think this is actually the reason that you all elected me, because as Bob mentioned, that the state legislature has definitely, the Democrat has the majority, so you want to elect somebody who can be effective. If you're not in the majority, it will be very, very difficult to instill any changes. But I am a very independent Democrat. I didn't get the Democratic Party endorsement during my primary, but I work on both sides of the aisle to be able to get things done. And, we're talking about the state government, but understand that the state government is not in the island by itself. A government has to be able to work with all different levels of government. I'll be a strong advocate to Washington, D.C. for many of the issues concerning this area, and I will have a very strong relationship with the county supervisors as well as the city council. I mentioned I was endorsed by all but one council mayors from the city of Fremont and Newark and Santa Clara. And I have a bipartisan support. I have our Sheriff Laura Smith, and the last last Republican state representative from this area, Jim Cunning's endorsement as well.
Thank you, Candidate Chu. At this point, before we hear the closing statements, I would like to open the floor to anyone who has any questions that have not been answered.
We have one thus far. There's some more. Any others?
You guys did good. You guys followed time limits. Actually, you were ahead of time. Yeah, most of the time. Okay. What kind of unique plans do you have for small businesses, particularly those who are bringing back manufacturing and jobs to the Bay Area? What kind of unique plans do you have for small businesses, particularly those who are bringing back manufacturing and jobs to the Bay Area? We can start with you, candidate Brunton.
Okay, well, I think I've covered some of these, but we can do a few things. One, I believe that California is large enough to do its own export-import bank. If you bring your manufacturing company back from China, bring it back from India, bring it here to the United States, and if Wells Fargo doesn't want to help finance it at a reasonable rate, maybe the state of California will. Secondly, we can look on tax credits for equipment. Again, when you're making your big investments, those are the expensive portions. One thing I will be doing is I'm making sure that it's across the board for companies. It's just not targeted for one particular business, because that's unfair. But what's in the right interest is to make it available to all who come here to California. So those are two things unique I'll be doing. We haven't talked a whole lot about education today, but that's such a critical element too in helping the small businesses. I've got an extensive program of how to improve education in California, as well as to match up employers. There's such a difference between employer skills and jobs. The trade schools, like the Heels. I'm out at Loney, we had a program with Sequoia, which was helping to train air conditioning repair people. And then so it could help local employers. There's no reason why the community colleges and the private sector colleges working with the employers can help create better jobs and better coordination and a strength of wanting to be here.
Thank you.
Like I mentioned, that California being the 8th largest economy in the world, but we're still not an island. There's a lot of work that I would like to help out with the local the California residents to bring to the federal government. The repatriation is a big issue. I had an opportunity to work with the Silicon Valley Manufacturing Group, leadership group. We lobbied the Washington, the legislature and RDA, so we can use some of the tax increment to help out with the small business that really needs the assistance from the government at any level.
Thank you. California cap and trade goes into effect January 1st, 2015. It will require a gas tax of 15 cents to 75 cents per gallon. What is your position on this, candidate Chu?
The gas tax I'm not going to. I will probably not supporting the proposal as it's written, because now we have so many electric cars or electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles. They still use our roads and the freeway. So we need to make sure that those people that are on the electric vehicles will also pay a part of the fee that we use to maintain our street, highways, or road.
Thank you.
And cap and trade is another example how our state government is failing us. I call this like an animal, like a duck-billed platypus. It's really confusing. That's a goofy-looking animal. This is a goofy-looking rule and law. I mean, what we're trying to do is keep polluting companies here in the state and then charge them more taxes. What kind of a crazy idea is that? And they're using cap and trade to help fund a train that starts nowhere and ends nowhere. Look, I'm going to Sacramento to try to fix things, simplify things. I bring an engineering background of this, and this is an example of this nuttiness that there's so many. I care about the environment, Absolutely. But using in a convoluted tax scheme that specializes certain companies and then gives taxes for different uses, it's nuts. When we go to Sacramento, I'm gonna do my best to help clean things, straighten things up. And the nice thing about I'll be able to do is I'll be able to talk to Washington, D.C. Because chances are the Republicans are gonna be running Washington, D.C. And right now, your business has no communication. And even though I'm not running for Congress, the best thing I can do as assembly person is to both talk to the cities, because I've been elected in 2 cities, Fremont and Newark, and I've had businesses in Churchton, Milpitas, and had a lot of companies, and I do customers with Santa Clara, but furthermore, I can be able to communicate well with Washington, D.C. to help us come with good plans.
Thank you. List 3 ways to improve education. How many spent? Educate students to 21st technology. Candidate Brunton. You go ahead, Candidate Brunton.
Oh, okay, so it's about education. What was the question? How to?
List 3 ways to improve education. How many is spent? Educate students to 21st technology.
Okay. All right, we have a very convoluted educational system in California. The way I describe it is we have 5 academic institutions. We allocate 54% of our budget to education, and we aren't getting our money's worth. So the first thing we have to do is start coordinating things. Second thing, we have to start streamlining things. We have 960 school districts. We can get by with about half of those school districts. We need to redefine what school districts are. Part of the problem I've learned in the process of governing California education, it's mostly, our biggest problem in education in California is one of governing and one of politics. The sad part is everybody wants to educate students, but we have people who actually block reforms to educate our students in efficient ways. So I will be working on different methods. For instance, at the college level, I'll be supporting what's called Common Course Numbering, which is being used in other states to help students finish their college faster. 2, we can help coordinate adult ed. It's crazy, some of our school districts have adult ed, the community colleges have adult ed, the cities have adult ed. Some of the money we save on bureaucratic money and on these duplicative programs, we can put into remedial ed. We can start putting into music programs, and of course into science and technology. We have so many problems in the California educational system. It's something I'm looking forward to getting into the teeth of and sharing with you ways and ideas to get your input as to the best solutions. But they're out there. We can't improve schools without increasing taxes.
Thank you. Candidate.
Yeah, education being serving on the various school board for 6 years. I'm a very strong advocate for local control. I think the funding we should hold the local school district board members accountable for their programs and their accounting and their performance. And second thing I would also be very strong, I have been a strong advocate, is for the parents' involvement. You know, when I served on the board of YMCA, I had the opportunity to bring the Project Cornerstone to the Santa Clara County, which were really trying to instill the youth of their self-esteem. And one of the projects I tried it on the various school district is called Los Dichos program, which we invite Hispanic-speaking family parents to come to the classroom and read a story in Spanish to the student, and then we ask the homeroom teacher to read the same school in English, and this was so they just did miracles. Not only would bring the parents to the school district, but also those Hispanic-speaking kids feel very, very proud that they have an opportunity to let their classmates to hear their mother tongue.
Thank you. I have a question in regards to Common Core. Those of us that have children in the California school systems, that's a new course that they've implemented. And I feel, not just me, I think many other parents will feel the same way, where we feel the teachers are not equipped to teach Common Core. What do you think needs to be done? What would you do to help streamline this process? Because the kids aren't learning anything and they're lost and confused.
Yeah, changes are difficult. To Common Core is definitely, I believe, is a good curriculum. You know, more than 30 states in California are actually using the Common Core. But the teachers' training is very crucial to the success of this new way of teaching. I had just a couple months ago, maybe 3-4 months ago, held a community forum on this issue, Common Core, and we tried to teach the parents how to help the students to do their homework, because it's instead of teaching them the arithmetic, like 1 + 1 = 2, the Common Core would tell them to, well, if there's one car in the garage and another car come in, how many cars that you have total. So they would really use a lot of word to describe the problem and to help the student to understand the concept and then be able to add some of the creativity to it. So it takes a lot of training, the teachers as well as the parents, and to find out how can we help our students to succeed in this new curriculum.
Thank you.
Common Core is another example of how our government is failing us. And in Kansen, you said you wanted local control. This is kind of a federal government issue. So again, it's a convoluted mess of educational systems here. And don't confuse that with the Common College course number, which is very different. Okay, so here's the problem. The government does not know how to teach children. Teachers know how to teach children. So the role in the government, what I'm going to be doing in Sacramento, is focusing on getting money to the classroom. We have so much waste in California education. The best thing I can do for you is to try to get money to your classrooms so that your parents, your schools can figure out the best way to teach your students. I believe in parental control or parental involvement. I believe teachers should teach and government officials should stay the heck out of it. And we can probably get you some money and make sure it's a fair playing field, and that's about it. And so I think Common Core, I believe in ways teachers to teach, but they shouldn't force this on them. They should be able to figure out what's in the best interest of their school district and their students.
Thank you. Discuss 3 ways you would attract new manufacturing to California. Specific examples, please. Candidate Brunton. Yeah, 3 ways you would attract new manufacturing to California.
Okay, I think we've covered this a little bit already, but it's the same types of things. We need to create the atmosphere that they can get trained workers. So how you can do that is by coordinating again with the community colleges, the private sector schools, the trade schools. So if they have some special needs, if they can maybe have some employees ready to go. If we can do that at a participatory level, for instance, maybe it's in batteries or something like that, which would help Tesla or something in that regard. Second, we can take advantage of what makes this state special. The fact is this is such a wonderful place to live in geography and weather, but we mess it up with horrendous tax laws and environmental burdens. So I've suggested ways in which we can do some tax holidays for new businesses. We can do some suggestions for tax credits for buying of equipment. And these are all those are the type of things that help bring in manufacturing. Because manufacturing jobs, frankly, I must be biased on this, are what I call multiplier jobs, because everybody works in the manufacturing company, goes out and buys a house, goes to the restaurant to eat. When a restaurant goes out of business, that's a personal problem for the restaurant, but when a manufacturing company goes out of business, a whole bunch of businesses go out of business. So we do need to bring back manufacturing into California and make that as a high priority.
Thank you. Candidate.
I will restore the foreign trade zone, which is a state way of allow the local government to have a certain high employment area to to give them some tax advantage. So foreign trade zone, I think, will be a very good tool to bring manufacturing job back. And secondly, I just have to re-emphasize the importance of planning, the future planning, because manufacturing job requires a lot of initial investment. You know, their equipment is not like an R&D. They just need some tables and maybe some computers will do it. Manufacturing job requires a lot of initial investment. We have to let them know what the future holds in the area for the next 10, 20, 30 years before they will commit that much money to it. And also improving the education, improving the quality of life for their workers will continue attracting more business to the Silicon Valley.
Thank you. Are there any more questions tonight? We can do the closing statement. Any more questions? Okay, so at this time, we can now do the closing statements. We can begin with you, Candidate Brunton.
Well, tonight we talked about issues and some solutions, and let me recap why I think you should vote Bob Brunton. I believe our state government is broken, and we are taxed too much, and we receive too little, and our regulations are too complex, and special interest groups are getting too much benefits. And it's going to take courage to fix this, and that's why I plan to go to California and Sacramento to fix these things. Tonight we talked about a few things about how to improve education in California. I have some very specific plans of how we can improve education without increasing taxes, by getting more money to the classroom, by getting rid of duplicate bureaucracies. We talked about how growing our economy, and that's different than creating jobs, creating an overall environment of how to, with a combination of education, but also of tax incentives, and also transportation infrastructure incentives. And mostly, the most important thing I want to do in this next term is about accountability and trust. Because if you don't believe what the government is telling you, we can't fix things. And it's been one of the first things I did in Ohlone was we changed auditors. And the reason that what the first auditor wasn't bad, but the new auditor brought in a new fresh set of eyes. The Democrats have controlled our state in this area so long. All the scandals that we've had this last time. We've had a few of the colleagues were exempted out because of the money that they would make. We need a fresh set of eyes. We need someone who's truly committed to fixing the state and acting in a straightforward, honest way. And that's what I'm going to be doing to treat you. Please send me to Sacramento. Remember my name. I take the brunt of it. I can handle a ton. Bob Brunton, State Assembly.
Thank you, Candidate Brunton. Please.
Well, again, I want to thank you all very much for coming to this evening's forum. I would really encourage you to elect somebody to have the experience, and also demonstrated the ability to work across the aisle with a different party, or be able to agree to disagree and be able to find a common ground to work for the betterment of all of us. And also, you need to elect a strong, effective assembly member that be able to really have some influence in this state of California. And like I stated, I've been endorsed by both Republicans and many of the leaders here local, like Jose Estevez, Sheriff Laura Smith, and Jim Canning, which was the last Republican assembly member in this area, and Supervisor Don Gage, and many others. So please vote for Kansen Chu. The election will be in a week from today, and please also get the word out to your friends and relatives, co-workers, and enemies to vote for Kansen Chu. Thank you.
Thank you to both candidates. Thank you to the audience. I know after a full day's work, it's difficult to deal with traffic, getting over here. I know Kansen, too, you were in meetings all day today, so thank you for coming out. Thank you again once again to the audience.
Anybody knows the score?
No, 0.
Wow.